Follow along with me and learn how to draw these fun pumpkins. Do you draw pumpkins like this, just a circle and some lines? Well, it's time to up your pumpkin game and draw some much cuter pumpkins. Let me show you what you can achieve with just a couple of colored pencils. I am going to use Prismacolors for this, and I'll guide you through the whole process, and we are going to be learning how to draw these pumpkins in an easy way and adding a lot of texture and a lot of color. So start out with literally you can use any color that you want. This is just kind of a technique that I'm going to teach you. I'm going to draw the pumpkin shapes first very lightly with my orange, and you can use any color you want. And then I've got a how-to video that I made on my iPad, so you can pause the video and watch each step of the pumpkin drawing slowly if you want to. Pause for each part. There's going to be a step-by-step in just a second. So I'm very lightly drawing my pumpkin shapes, and I've got them layered. So one pumpkin is in front of the other pumpkin, and I'm varying the shapes. One is round, one is fat and chunky, and one is tall and skinny. And pumpkins are kind of fun. Like, they have bumps and weird shapes and stuff, and that's what makes them interesting. So don't worry about making it perfect. You can make your pumpkin any shape that you want. It's your pumpkin. Make sure to fill up the page, and if you get tired easily or you don't have a lot of patience for coloring, use a smaller paper and fill up the page, or just draw smaller pumpkins and then cut your paper smaller. It's totally fine to do that. Here's my simple pumpkin layout, and this is what it looks like. You can pause the video and just go slowly so you can see the steps of the pumpkin. You can even pause the video, screenshot this, and print it out and trace it. All right, so let's talk about colors. I've got 3 different colors of orange. So if you want to do like a red, an orange, and a yellow, if you don't have a big set of colored pencils, and I've got several colors of greens and blues. And if you look at the color wheel, orange and blue are opposite each other on the color wheel. So when they're used next to each other, they will make each other pop. So I'm actually going to be doing an orange pumpkin, but I'm going to add some blue shadows, and I'm going to add some blue kind of lines in the cracks of the pumpkin just to make that orange pop out. If you mix the blue and orange together, it makes a neutral, like a brown, but I'm not necessarily going to mix them. I'm just going to leave the lines in there. I'm going to do a little bit of shading with the pumpkin, and if you know how to do a gradient, if you don't know how to do a gradient, go back and watch my 10 tips for colored pencils video. I will link it in the comments down here, and you can learn how to shade with colored pencils before you start this. So I'm just going to start to shade these pumpkins, and I'm going to go up, and I'm thinking about the little cracks in the pumpkins, and I'm going to make each kind of section of the pumpkin separate. So kind of like shading a sphere, like my previous video, but I am just shading each section of the pumpkin upward. And take your time on this. Start really softly and build up. You can always add, but you can't take away as easily unless you have erasable colored pencils, but you don't want to deal with that. And as I'm going, I'm just going to kind of darken the bottom of the pumpkin, and I'm going to outline the bottom of it. So it's a little bit of outline, it's a little bit darker, and I'm just adding more orange as I go. I'm building it up a little bit. So keep doing that. Now I'm going to grab my blue, and I am going to get in there with a dark indigo, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of indigo over top of the orange. I'm not drawing hard, I'm just keeping it kind of soft, and I am just going into the cracks of the pumpkin to define the shapes. Now I'm going to go back in with my lighter orange, and I am going to bring that up a little bit into the middle. And I'm not going to do like a section of light orange over the section of dark orange down at the bottom. I'm going to actually blend them together. So the light orange is going to go into the dark orange, and they are going to be combined. But it's just going to give the pumpkin a little bit of dimension. Now I'm going to grab my orange again, my middle orange, and I'm going to go back into the top, and I'm going to bring that shadow down. So I'm using a little bit more force this time because I want to make it a little bit more orange, a little bit more bright and colorful. And I'm just going to go into the edges, and I'm going to keep my edges really sharp and clean on my pumpkin. And it's okay if it has a little bit of outline, because this is meant to be kind of graphic looking and kind of illustrational. Is illustrational a word? I actually don't know. Tell me in the comments if it's a word or if I just made something up. If I made it up, then I'm going to copyright it right now. So I just sped this up so you can see how I'm making my pumpkin pretty smooth. I'm going to add the lines. Now I'm going in with the blue a little bit more, and I'm going to start to add actual lines. I'm going to start to separate the lines a little bit. I'm not going to be blending in a minute. I'm going to make it very liney, and I am going to add in some texture. So I'm making lines now with the dark orange to just bring that pumpkin up. And sometimes it's fun. Like, you want to make things look realistic and perfectly smooth or whatever. But when you get in there and you add texture on purpose, it's a technique and you are making it have a little bit of expression. So it's just a little bit more fun. So here I go, orange lines all over my pumpkin. And I'm kind of tapering them and I'm making them go in the direction of the pumpkin. So on the curve of the pumpkin. Now I'm going in with my lighter color. And I'm really using force for this one because I want it to pop. This is almost a yellow. Now I'm taking pink and I'm going in with pink. I'm going to add a little surprise to that pumpkin. A little bit of red at the bottom. So my pumpkin is actually going to have a ton of colors in it. It has orange and pink and red and indigo, as you can see right here. Now I'm making those lines a little bit more strong. And then I'm going to go back in with the red. So if you want to see kind of an up close, I'll zoom in a bit so you can see. It's a little blurry, but I'll zoom in better. But you can see the lines. You can see the lines really varied. It has a lot of texture, lots of colors in this. And now I'm adding my green. And one thing about start on my stem, drawing or coloring with any kind of medium is if you use and I'm definitely varying my if you're doing a green, well, when you 3 different colors of green and maybe like a purple for your shadows instead of a black, oil pastels, you are going to make a drawing that has so much more expression. Like if you're doing a green and you use 3 different colors of green and maybe like a purple. So also think about where the light hits. You are going to make wherever the light hits your object is where you want to use the lighter and brighter colors, and wherever your object is in shadow, you want to use the darker colors. So you can see I'm adding very defined lines now. And I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm going to speed this up a bit so you can see the process. Now I'm going to start on the second pumpkin, and I'm going to make this pumpkin shades of blue and green and turquoise. So I'm doing the exact same thing that I did with the other pumpkin. I'm starting at the bottom and I'm bringing my lines upward, and I am adding orange into it. So I'm going to do the opposite. So this pumpkin is going to be greenish blue with little hints of orange. And I'm doing basically the same thing as the other pumpkin, but I'm just keeping the shape more round, and I'm defining it with the turquoise, kind of a dark turquoise, instead of with the orange. And I'm leaving those lines in there. And it's okay to not blend. It's just like a different technique. Just add some lines, make it a little bit more textured, and I'll speed this up so you can see the process. And now I'm adding a bright turquoisey color, a really bright color. That's going to make it look a lot different from the orange. And the secret here is to really vary the colors of your pumpkins. If you make them all different, they don't have to be realistic, obviously. I've never seen an aqua turquoise colored pumpkin. You can do anything you like. You can make a purple pumpkin, whatever you want. Now I'm adding yellow just to pop that color, and I'm doing lines. I'm not blending or coloring over top of it. I'm just making lines. Now I'm adding kind of an indigo purple in the bottom to make the bottom pop out a little bit. And now as I add my pumpkin stem, I'm making it a totally different color of green. I started with a little bit of purple and I brought it up to kind of a lime green. So totally different. This one's not going to have a curly Q. It's just going to be simple. Now starting on pumpkin number 3, I'm going to make this one more of a violet on the bottom. So I'm taking a dark purple and I'm doing the same thing. So you can just see me going up with the lines and bringing that up. And this one I'm going to have violet, red, orange, and pink. So it's going to be all purpley reds, and I've got a little shadow behind the other pumpkin. So I just keep going, and I'm going to make the lines red, a little bit different. And I am going to bring some orange into this one too. The secret of making all of these pumpkins kind of match each other is that I'm taking that same orange and I'm adding little details of that same orange into each pumpkin. So each pumpkin is a different color, but they all have a little bit of that same orange in them, and that is called color harmonies, color harmonizing, making things kind of all go together, and it kind of makes your eye realize that things go together even though they're not exactly the same. So I'm coming down here with that same orange, and I'm going to bring that in, and I'm just adding lots of lines to this. And the lines, again, in the direction of the pumpkin, and add whatever colors you want into it. Just pick one color as your main color, like orange or purple or whatever, and add that to every single item, and it'll be harmonized. I'm going to speed this one up quite a bit more because you get what we're doing by this point, hopefully. I'm now adding in pink. I'm going to add yellow. It's going to be all different colors. But again, I'm not blending them. When you look up close, which I'm going to show you at the end, you can see the different lines in detail. So it's kind of like pointillism, if you look that up, where there's little dots that all make up one color. This just kind of has a lot of different lines in it. And now I'm going to make the stem, and this one I'm going to add a little curly Q too. The stem's going to be a little bit more bluish. So fun. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some grass under my pumpkins so I can give them a place to sit. And if you learn the rules of atmospheric perspective, that is things going back in space, when things get further away from you, they are generally lighter, and when they are closer to you, they're generally darker. Also, things further away are generally cooler colors, while warmer colors are in front. So I'm going to make kind of a cool grass with lines, and it could be grass, it could be the ground, whatever. I'm just going to use a kind of a turquoise color, and then I'm going to blend it into a warmer green in the front. And there you have it. There's my cute little pumpkins. You can use these for Halloween decorations or just for general fall. And they look cute on cards or notes or anything. So fun. I hope you enjoyed. I'm trying to increase my subscriber count, so if you would please subscribe, it would really mean a lot to me. It would enable me to make more videos and more content. Have a good day.